NBC News headline, one of many. Zelenskyy pleads for U.S. aid to Ukraine ahead of Tuesday White House meeting. That's right. Vladimir Zelenskyy is coming back to the United States yet again to meet with Joe Biden at the White House, yet again at Biden's invitation, yet again in order to give Zelenskyy more money and place pressure on Congress for that. Is that a good idea? Should we give Ukraine more money than we've given to Israel over the last 75 years? For more on this, let's bring in Kurt Schlichter, a Townhall Senior Columnist, retired Infantry Army Colonel, and the author of the book We'll Be Back, The Fall and Rise of America. Kurt, great to have you with us, sir.
Hey, great to be here.
Well, Biden has Zelenskyy swinging back to the White House. It's an unusual thing. He sends the invite so he can give him the cash?
Look, I think Zelenskyy gets a bum rap from a lot of conservatives who are angry about American policy. Zelensky's doing what he needs to do for his country, which is not America, and we need to remember that. I went and trained Ukrainians. I worked with them when I was on active duty, and I respect them. They're doing what they have to do for their country. But Vince, we got to do what's right for ours.
Yeah.
And what's right for ours, I'm not sure it's giving everything that this guy wants to him, especially when our own border is wide open.
Yeah, no question. And we're looking at just like giving him a crap ton of money. I mean, we really are giving them unbelievable amounts of money. And also there's been no accountability for that. I understand if I'm Vladimir Zelenskyy or I'm any Ukrainian official, I'm trying to get money wherever I can. I'm trying to get weapons wherever I can to help me prosecute this war. But the reality here is a ton of this cash has been pilfered. A ton of it. And there's no accountability. A ton of these weapons have been misused. You know what I mean? A ton of our stockpiles have been worn out. And it's like, what are we doing to ourselves?
Well, exactly. I mean, look, the first time I went to Ukraine, some weaselly guys from the United States government had to pay off a local crime boss with a briefcase full of cash to let our plane take off. Okay, this is a country that's so corrupt the Nigerians are like, wait a minute, you guys have gone a step too far. I mean, and a lot of this money's disappearing, and the Ukrainians are imperfect people. Zelenskyy is, he doesn't believe in free speech and free religion the same way we do. But, his country's being invaded. He's dealing with it his way. I don't blame him, and I don't think it is immoral to help the Ukrainians. I think the Russians are in the wrong here. But, again, I'm not a Ukrainian. I'm an American, and I see 12,000 people, an army division, a day crossing our southern border, and we're throwing $100 billion at this Slavic slap fight. It's really hard to make that argument. And after almost 2 years, hey, we're not doing it anymore. So hats off to the Republicans showing a rare bit of spine. I mean, when you got Romney out there saying, you're gonna have to do something about the border, or you're never getting any money. That's saying something.
That's a sign of how bad things have gotten, isn't it? When Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney can finally say out loud, hey, the border might need to be fixed.
Yeah, finally. The friends of Ukraine are not helping themselves with their with pretending that everybody who doesn't want to write a blank check to Zelenskyy loves Putin. I particularly enjoy being told that from people who did not serve in the Cold War, which I did and millions of other Americans did, and ignoring the border. Look, as a lawyer, if I'm like graphing out the argument that, hey, we're giving a lot of money to Ukraine, but, the border's open, so we shouldn't. That's not a great logical argument, but it's a powerful political one.
Well, it's a moral one.
And it's a great question for normal people.
It's a moral one. I mean, you mentioned a moment ago,
exactly.
It's not immoral to give Ukraine money, but it is immoral to give them nearly $150 billion and then to allow your own country's border to collapse and to allow well over 10 million foreign nationals to invade it. That seems like a problem, like a huge problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm being tired. I'm tired of being told that anytime we pursue our own interests, we're somehow bad people. You know, I wish Ukraine could win this war. I don't think it can for a number of reasons. But I'm more concerned with the United States of America. And, you know, when Mitch McConnell stands up and says, our number one priority is Ukraine.
Up
No,
yours. I get so
Yeah.
ticked off when I hear this crap because so you always stop. Just
Yeah, it is not even in my top 5. It's not in my top 10.
Yeah.
And again, I like Ukraine. I partied with those guys. I hope they win. But I'm not Ukrainian. I'm American, and I would like to think our legislators are too.
So when you heard the White House say this past week that it's Republicans who are trying to stop funding for the border, I think it was John Kirby said, I believe the words verbatim were, Joe Biden is all about border security. That's what John Kirby said out loud. Now, I'll be honest, I laughed heartily when I heard him say that, but maybe I was wrong. Is Joe Biden all about border security?
Well, look, I'm a Los Angeles trial lawyer, so I'm used to people lying to my face. But, you know, rarely that brazenly. Yeah, the Republicans want the border wide. Well, actually, some probably do.
Some.
The reason the border is open is because the Democrat administration will not enforce the law on asylum and turn these liars and bums around. And if it did that, we wouldn't have the problem. And we know it, they know it, they know we know it, and they lie to our face anyway. I don't think that's going to get any credibility with anybody. And I think it's devastating to the other things that they want. They want Ukraine funding, and they're telling us, no, you can't have border security. I don't think so.
Also, they refuse to fund. They claim Israel needs an emergency tranche of funding too, but they refuse to pass it unless they also give $60 billion to Ukraine. What's that all about?
Well, I mean, it's called blackmail. You don't get it unless you give us what we want. And you're going to see the Republicans call on them. Republicans are going, oh, okay. And then the Democrats have a real problem, Vince. You know, Joe Biden has to walk a tightrope, and this is a guy who can't even walk up the ramp to Air Force One.
Yeah.
But he's got one half of its party that's kind of old school Democrat that still, you know, likes Israel and thinks genocide's bad. And the other half of the Democrat Party, which literally wants to murder the first half, and then it'll come and murder us. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to balance these two things. You know, that half that likes Israel is not going to be happy about him holding it up.
Right. In some sense, it gets to your point. It's almost like they want to smuggle some Israel funding into a Ukraine package so that the anti-Israel crowd doesn't notice as much.
Well, and also to force people to vote for the Ukraine package. But, you know,
yeah.
I think the Republicans are going to call people's bluffs. I think they're just going to say, no, we're not doing that. Well, we'll say that you hate Israel. Well, let's see if they believe it. How many Republicans do you see wearing one of those stupid keffiyehs around their neck?
No, nobody. But
because I see a lot of Democrats doing it.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, and to the credit of Speaker Mike Johnson, they did pass an Israel bill. They passed a standalone Israel bill. They did a pay for on it. They cut the 10 billion IRS agents that Joe Biden tried to hire to go after the middle class. And they put that before the Senate, and Chuck Schumer said, we're not doing that. We're not going to pass a standalone bill to fund Israel.
Oh, well, I guess Israel's out of luck.
Yeah,
but that ain't going to last long because Biden's going to have to roll over on it.
Can I ask you just kind of about the left, this infighting that you mentioned, that like there's some element of the Democrats who are pro-Israel. Joe Biden is trying to, as you point out, stumble on this tightrope. But there's a huge portion of the left that is not just anti-Israel, but straight up anti-Semitic. Straight up. And you're seeing it all across. I mean, we saw it on the campus of Yale this weekend as some goon tried to fly a Palestinian flag on a menorah in case you're wondering if it's anti-Semitic or not, they're like straight up. They're trying to cut down symbols of Hanukkah on the Yale campus right now. So are you surprised that the left is surprised that they had this much anti-Semitism going on their own side?
Left isn't surprised. The left knew it. The people who are surprised are the people who weren't paying attention. Now, you and I knew it too because we deal with this stuff, and we knew exactly what these little semi-humans are thinking. And it's looking bad. I mean, you look at those college presidents who got up there. You know, if somebody asked me, Kurt, is advocating genocide a bad thing? Yes. Yeah. And then these guys, I mean, they have this like long, over-lawyered example or explanation. Well, you know, maybe in context. What's the context where genocide's okay?
Yeah, it wasn't like the context. Normally in these kinds of conversations, if you're mentioning context, it'd be like, oh, they were citing some historic genocide to warn you against how genocides occur or something like that. That's not what we're talking about. The example that Elise Stefanik gave was explicit, like, hey, if you get people on campus calling for the genocide of Jewish people, would that violate the school's code of conduct? And they were like, well, it would depend on the context. Does that stand up, you think?
Yeah, no, and nobody buys it. And here's the thing. I'm a free speech guy. If you want to walk around saying you support genocide, that's fine.
Sure.
You're alerting me that you're human garbage who needs to be flushed down the toilet. Uh-huh. But you can't pick and choose. No, you can't throw somebody off campus because he's fat phobic. Or because he believes that a man who's born a man can't become a woman through the power of wanting and mascara. And then tell me, oh, but, when it comes to the Jews, then the genocide's just fine, according to these jerks.
Right.
That doesn't work. But the thing is, a lot of them do feel that way. A lot of them do feel that if you're mean to militant fat people or bizarre transgender people, you're a terrible person. You should suffer horrible sanctions. But if you want to kill all the Jews, everything's cool. They're okay with that. See, the thing is, it's not like it's slipping through. They're actually in favor of murdering Jewish people.
No question. And you're right about their fascist tendency on all sorts of other speech. And then this comes along, and they're asking for some patience. They're asking for some context first before they impose sanctions.
We're playing by the new rules.
Yeah,
we don't do unilateral disarmament. If you want to go back to everybody gets to say whatever they want all the time, I'd like that, but not until you suffer, because until you pay a price for essentially criminalizing conservative or other unapproved speech, you're going to think it's okay and that you can do it again. Yeah. So we're not doing the old rules now. If you want to come up to me, I mean, I love it on Twitter because you've got these leftists who are going, well, that just shows conservatives don't believe in free speech, and the conservatives are like, you think you're going to talk me out of screwing you guys over by telling me I don't like free speech after you shafted us for the last couple of decades?
All right, so
not happening.
So the Kurt Schlichter rule is if they're going to shut down rational speech, we'll shut down irrational speech for now.
Oh, yeah. One set of rules, choose carefully.
All right, Kurt Schlichter, thank you as always, sir. Really appreciate your time.